I do want to thank our fans. I thought the atmosphere was great this past Saturday. Our student section, I know they're going to be inconvenienced this year and next, but they were here extremely early to get those good seats, and you could feel them. And I thought it was an excellent atmosphere. The Stampede was off the charts. So again, shout out to Chris Delcani and Drew Martin for what they've been able to do in 2 short years here. I thought our guys, we talked about that game Saturday after, but our guys played with a lot of confidence, played fast. We were fresh, we were physical, and was proud of the effort. Injury, really nothing, no changes to last week other than Jordan Whittington. He has torn the adductor off of his pubic symphysis, sports hernia again. So we are finalizing plans to get him to Philadelphia to get that thing fixed again. Last time he had it fixed was in Houston. This time we're going to send him to one of the godfathers of that surgery out there in Philadelphia, and hopefully, best case scenario is probably 4, but we're looking at probably closer to 6 weeks before we see him again. So your 2 tailbacks are Keontae Ingram and Roschon Johnson, who just started learning the position 10 days ago. And last night at practice, we moved David Benda to tailback, and he'll be practicing and playing there until Kirk Johnson and Daniel Young get nursed back to health. Questions?
Raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah.
Start with Brian up front.
Yeah, talk about that. I mean, did y'all know when he got here that was an issue?
Yeah, I wish we'd have known how severe. It was repaired. It was repaired in high school, and it nagged him a little bit in spring ball, but I mean, he missed 0 practices in spring ball. Nagged him a little bit in summer workouts, but he missed 0 workouts. I mean, it did not sideline him. So we knew it was nagging, and again, he was MRI'd, if that's a verb. He had an MRI done on it a few weeks ago, and it was not torn. And then in a play where he got tackled after one of his catches, it's torn.
So up until this point, it had just been like a pain tolerance issue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. In person in Philly, that's a guy that the pros use, right?
I don't know who uses who, but I do know we've sent people over the years to him, all the way back to, I think, James Casey when he was at Rice. We flew him out there, but I mean, we can get you the name. I can't remember the guy's name.
And then about the running back position, I mean, obviously not ideal, but how did you grade out Keontae and specifically Roschon getting a late touchdown, getting him confidence up?
Yeah, I thought Keontae played well, played really well physically. I think, I think he was a little too excited sometimes, kind of lacked a little bit of patience on a couple runs, and kind of ran up into the back of his O-line a couple times. And then the good thing is, though, when he kind of squirted out of that, he usually found a way to make yards and make the first guy miss. And then, yeah, Roschon is, I mean, I'm glad he was here this spring for the physical development as well as learning the offense. So I think it's not near the transition that somebody like David Benda will be going through in terms of, Roschon new protections. At quarterback, you have to know it all. So he did that, and I thought he played really well. He for the limited minutes that he got, and he'll certainly get a lot more this week, though.
Stay up front. Dennis?
Well, following up on that, it might be too loaded of a question, but does it change any way, we talk about pitch counts, rep counts, and all that kind of thing? Does it change your strategy in any way when you're that down in the running back group?
Not on game day. I think you got to do whatever it takes to win, especially when you're playing a top 10 team with such a good defense like LSU. So I think in practice, these guys have been wearing green jerseys, been non-contact for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So, but on game day, you got to turn them loose and do whatever it takes to win.
Stay up front. Mama?
Coach, when you went back and looked at the offensive line, can you give me your assessment of how good they looked in your point of view, and could you also talk about Parker Brown, the decision to start him, and how he looked?
Yeah, that thing went up to the wire in terms of starting him. We knew we wanted to get Shaq out early if possible. His foot was still pretty sore, and so kind of on Thursday, Friday morning even, just said, well, rather than throw Parker in there cold, when we get Shaq out, it would be better to start him, let him get in a little rhythm, and then when we get Shaq out, then put Denzel in, having had that experience in this offense. I thought he graded really well. He graded out as a champion. I think all of the starting offensive line graded out as champions. So they played well. Certainly not perfect. I thought our communication was really good. They made some calls. Again, when you spend 2 weeks practicing 7% blitz and all of a sudden it's 3 out of every 4 snaps is blitz, that's a big time adjustment for an offensive line, and I thought they handled it well.
Stay up front. Bob?
I think 50 or 51% of their passing yards came after the score was 31-0. So I'm wondering if you consider that 340 passing yards a little skewed, and just your thoughts on how the corners played and pass defense in general.
Yeah, I think anytime a team attempts 54 passes, you're going to give up a few passing yards. So, again, like you said, when you're up 31-0 and you're stopping the run as well as we were stopping the run, there's really only one option for them, and you're not going to hold them to 0. I don't know very many teams that have 0 yards passing at the end of a game. So I thought it was good. I mean, we still have work to do. I think we can eliminate some of those yards by assignment issues that we still busted. But I thought our technique and our physicality was pretty good.
On your left, Chip?
Tom, kind of along those lines, can you talk about how Deshaun and Anthony Cook and Kobe looked like Jalen had a pretty good day, but how the other 3 graded out after looking at the film?
Yeah, Jalen graded out as a champion. None of those other 3 guys did. I don't know if it was because of reps or anything like that, but they played okay. I mean, it's certainly well enough to get a 45-14 victory over a team that threw the ball 54 times. So, but we know we've got to get better as the season progresses.
That battle continues then. That other corner is up for grabs this week.
At every position in our program is.
And Dave Aranda, can you just talk about your relationship with him going back to your time together at Cal Lutheran?
Yeah, great relationship with Dave. Enjoyable guy to be around, very cerebral. He came in, I think I actually hosted him on his visit to Cal Lutheran, and came in as a player. Medically, he'd had 5 or 6 shoulder surgeries, so he was done pretty early. So he transitioned into student coach, but we've stayed in touch throughout the years. I remember when I was named special teams coordinator at Sam Houston State, he was at Texas Tech, and I actually drove from Huntsville all the way to Lubbock to spend a couple days trying to learn some special teams, drills and whatnot. And, he was nice enough to have me stay at his apartment, all that stuff. So we bounce ideas off each other quite regularly. Haven't in the last couple years because we knew we were going to be playing each other. But, prior to us finding that part out, we've stayed in pretty close contact in terms of, the football part of it. And then, interestingly enough, Dave has a lot to do with me hiring Todd Orlando 5 years ago. If you trace the lineage, Todd was at Utah State when we hired him at Houston, and when Todd went to Utah State, he was going to replace Dave Aranda when Dave went to Wisconsin. And so a lot of what Todd did then, obviously we've evolved, Todd has evolved, but what Todd did then was a lot of what was a carryover from what Dave was doing at Utah State. And I know when I was calling around about Todd as well, that Dave was somebody I leaned on pretty heavily because he was still in touch with those guys there at Utah State, and he said it's a no-brainer, can't miss. And so kind of everything's intertwined there.
In the middle, Kirk.
We've got a lot of games with SEC teams Saturday, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida coming up. You almost feel like you're in the SEC. What goes into scheduling those games? I guess you and Chris work closely together.
The ones that weren't already scheduled, certainly. I know it's his vision to have a marquee non-conference home game every other year. And so really at the end of the day, he comes to me with suggestions and then it's yeah, I'm good with it, or no, I'm not good with it. But knowing what his objective is to give our fan base a pretty big heavy hitter, at least once every other year at home.
And as far as their reputation, do you think the SEC's far ahead of other leagues, Power 5 leagues, or you think it's mostly Alabama and they benefit from that rep?
What do you mean by far ahead?
Well, a lot of people think it's the premier conference in the country. It seems to have that reputation. I guess you disagree.
I look at records,
Yeah.
and I look at the records over the last 3 years against non-conference opponents. I look at schedules. I don't. It's not my job to judge what conference is better than the other, but I know this: you're not. I haven't had one NFL scout or general manager tell me they're drafting kids based on a patch on their jersey or anything like that. So conferences are great in terms of geographical regionalization, but beyond that, I don't know that anybody's qualified to say which one's better or worse than another. I mean, play the games.
On your left, Mark.
You said last week you might have an update on Moore this week, and also is that a coach's decision, AD, president? How does that whole thing work?
Josh Moore,
Yeah.
he is suspended indefinitely, and we'll continue to monitor what's going on with him. We're handling the punishment internally, but he is still practicing and running with the scout team.
Is that your decision? Do you decide if and when he plays, or is that somebody else?
It's with counsel from multiple people, mainly Chris Delcani, but I don't know that it's one person's decision.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
On your left, on your right, Cedric.
Tom, there were a lot of questions about the front seven in the offseason, and I know you as a coach wondered how they would perform under the bright light. So what were your first impressions of that group?
I thought the front three played really well. Malcolm, you felt Malcolm. Taquan graded out as a champion. I thought, what they were doing, throwing the ball 54 times and getting it out as quickly as they were. You know, Keandre's game was a bit neutralized. But he played well when his opportunity arose. You know, the linebackers were, McCulloch played really well. Joseph obviously played really, really well. You know, Deli and Juwan, it was good to get their feet wet. I mean, they didn't kill us by any stretch, but they had some first game kind of jitters and alignment issues, but still confident we are in those guys.
And what are your thoughts on Joe Burrow and the need to put a little bit of pressure on him? He had a big game Saturday.
Did he ever? Yeah, I mean, played a half and completed, a pass to 14 different receivers and 4 or 5 touchdowns or something like that. I mean, what are my thoughts? I love Joe. I mean, I recruited him. I got to know his family. He's a coach's kid. You know, his dad's the defense coordinator at Ohio University. He reminds me a lot of our guy. You know, he's physically, mentally tough. He's uber competitive. He's a leader amongst leaders. So to say you got to pressure him, yeah, I mean, as with any good quarterback, you do. But you know, we got DB coaches that are saying, well, hang on, can we cover him every now and again too, and give my guys some help. So you've got to vary the looks. I don't think you can, you know, just say we're going to dial a blitz up every snap and say we're good enough to hold up in the back end, especially as smart as Joey is in terms of, you know, knowing where his issues are and where his matchups are. You know, we definitely know how intelligent he is and be cautious with how we approach that.
Middle, Ed.
Coach, do you have a relationship with Ed Orgeron, and can you speak his language?
Not really. I mean, we're cordial. I mean, I don't know that, you know, we've talked on the phone or gone out to dinner. I know that, but when we see each other, you know, it's, hey, how you doing? Catching up, all that stuff. And I don't know. He is. It is unique. His language, certainly.
Thank you, Coach.
Almost got you some
Roger.
water out.
Tom, I know every game is its own biggest deal, but obviously to have 2 named programs, they're going to be top 10 tomorrow here, all the pageantry. What does that mean as you continue to build this program?
Yeah, I don't want to downplay the significance of the matchup. I think it's really important. It's important for us. It's we kind of understand that to get to where we want to go as a program, that we're going to have to play in and win these kind of games, and to do it against another, you know, top 10 opponent is pretty cool, especially at home. But I also know that, you know, Bob Bowlesby's not going to be handing out the Big 12 championship trophy after this game either. And, you know, we're going to try our best to go 1-0 this week, but we also know that there's a bigger picture goal out there as well.
Back left. Ben.
Getting back to Joe, and you know him, you recruited him, LSU's talking a lot this offseason about how they sort of change the offense. Does he look like a different player to you? What's he doing better? What kind of pressure does he put on your defense? What challenge does he put there?
Oh, he's distributing the ball. I think that's the biggest thing. They're playing with pace. I mean, they're going to get lined up and snap the ball faster than La Tech even, and he's bright enough to handle that. And you know, so obviously there's going to be somewhere on the field, especially as spread out as they have been, at least against Georgia Southern. You know, there's going to be some numbers or leverage issues somewhere, and he's pretty dang good at finding where those matchups are.
And as far as their defense is concerned, what's the big challenge for you? What's the lesson that you guys are going to try to take from this game, not just for the result, but just moving forward?
I don't know. We haven't played it yet.
Okay. I just mean, like, what, as far as their, like, what they do defensively, what's the big challenge for you guys?
For our offense against their defense, one, the size and strength up front. I mean, 3 guys that are starting up front that are well over 300 pounds. I think 1 or 2 over 350 pounds. And then, Caleb on Chason as the, kind of the edge setter, pass rusher. I mean, he's elite. And then they've got 2 All-Americans in the secondary as well. So this will be as talented of a defense as we have seen in our time here. And it's not just heavy in one area, I mean, it's not just, hey, they're great in the secondary, but they're average up front. I mean, they've got NFL players at pretty much every position.
Back middle, Steve.
Coach, you guys always talk about how you learned more about your team from the first game to the second game than any other time this season. What did you learn about your team Saturday night that you didn't know beforehand?
That we lost another running back for a while. I didn't know that was going to happen. I don't know. I think we all as a staff, had a pretty good pulse on who these guys are. I love the personality of this team. I've said that, throughout training camp. I get up in the morning. I really like coming to work. I like coaching these guys. They're, we talk about we have different levels of teammates. One of them is defiant. We have none, if any, or very few, if any, defiant guys that refuse to do things your way. Then there's the compliant guy that may not truly believe in what you're doing, but he's going to do just enough to stay out of trouble and mind his P's and Q's. You've got the committed guys that do believe and are really focused on making themselves better through the process of our culture. And then kind of the highest level guys is compelled. When we talk about those guys, are the guys that really feel it in their heart, and they're compelled to spread the word, spread the culture, bring other people with them. So we've got a lot of committed and compelled guys on this team, very few that are merely compliant, and I can't even think off the top of my head if we have any that are defiant. And so that's probably the biggest thing, is just I found out Saturday night that how we were feeling leading up to training camp about this team was probably pretty accurate.
Stay in the middle, Chris.
College game day is here for the first time in a decade. What does that mean for the program, and more so, what does it mean for the program and its kind of attempted rise moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's great for our fans. It's great for our university. I mean, this is one of the premier public institutions in the country, and to be able to showcase it in front of that many eyeballs, I think is really important. It's great for the city of Austin. This is I think U.S. News and World Report, I think 3 years in a row now, this is the #1 city in America to live in. So to be able to showcase our city, and then it's great for recruiting, because we know that recruits wake up and they watch that show, and we want to put our best foot forward and show off our players, with all the different features they have and all of that. And I think part of your question was, in terms of the rise of our program. I don't know that, winning is probably the best thing to help the rise of your program. But we enjoy it when they're here, and it's they've been in Dallas, for a couple of those Red River games, but to have them on campus is pretty special.
Up front, Mike.
Coach, the lights were pretty bright this past Saturday. They're going to be even brighter this Saturday. What impressed you about some of the younger players that had a chance to play this past weekend?
But that they didn't care how bright the lights were. I thought, for the most part, they handled it well. I think Jake Smith's, first play as a Texas Longhorn was as punt returner. That's never easy to go do, certainly. and some of those other, Tyler Owens had a great hit on and tackle on kickoff coverage. I thought David Benda played really well. We got Kenyatta got to get some reps at corner there late in the game and did well. And so the way that the game went was certainly helpful because those guys got their feet wet, and now it's not new anymore. But even so, they've responded pretty well.
On your left over here, Caleb.
Have you ever dealt with a running back situation where you've only had, like within your coaching career ever, have you only had like 2 running backs?
Never. I mean, you think about this. I actually wrote it down today, and this is mind-boggling. So our running back room was supposed to look like this. You had Ingram, Whittington, Johnson, Young, Brown, okay, and then Jarrett Smith, who we all thought was a really good walk-on running back that could help us. 5 of them gone for multiple weeks, 4 of them being scholarship running backs. So no, I've never heard of it happening, let alone it happening to me. But kudos to the Roshan Johnsons and Mason Ramirez's and David Bendas of the world for saying, Coach, whatever this team needs, I'll do, and they've done it well.
On your right.
Along those lines, Tom, you got a kid like Roshan who's taking snaps as the 3rd quarterback, probably doesn't expect to see the field to back up tailback against the top 10. What do you see in his eyes and his demeanor since that change?
Oh, he's taken to it like a fish to water. I think he's a really competitive guy too. So when he makes a mistake, he's really hard on himself, and it's like, Ro, you've been playing this position for 10 days. We kind of understand, like, you're not going to be perfect, and so he's tough. I have no doubt that he'll play well regardless of the competition, just because he's that fierce of a competitor.
Back middle, and
Hey, Coach, I saw there's only one DBU T-shirts on Saturday, and historically both these programs have great DBUs. How do you temper and control the emotions of the guys in that room? And I'm guessing there's nothing to be said to go out and play and to prove that you're the only one and only DBU.
Yeah, again, that's for nobody really to decide. I mean, we're talking about opinion, and we can base those opinions around facts, but the facts that we use are the opinions then too, right? I mean, somebody's got to make a choice to decide what numbers and statistics are we going to use, and so there's a lot of teams across the country that have really good traditions at that position. That was a Michael Huff idea. Go figure, right? And then Captain Jones, Brandon, asked me if I'd be okay with him wearing it during pregame. I said, sure. If it makes you play better, absolutely.
Time for 2 last ones, Alex and then Brian.
I was just wondering, when's the last time you saw Devin Duvernay drop a pass, and when's the last time you saw a streak like this in a game?
In a game, I don't think I have. We've been together for 3 years. In practice, it's very rare. I mean, I literally can't remember when and if I've seen one. He's the thing about him. I don't know about the streak or whatever that is. I hope you just didn't jinx us. But I do know he's so strong, and he's really competitive, and I think that's what helps him. He's just a really strong guy.
Time for one last one, Brian.
One more running back question. Just how does this change your philosophical approach to how you want to attack this week? Because I'm sure that the GAs, if they gave you a packet and said, here, you run these plays, well, maybe now you can't, or can't do it the way you wanted.
No, it doesn't. Now, if both those guys get hurt, then the game plan will change significantly. But I don't think you ever try to game. I mean, they're really good against the run too. So let's not think that they're not. You know, so it will not change. The game plan. We're confident in Keontae. We're confident in Roshan. And now, if something were to go awry in the middle of the game, then we'd kind of have to change courses midstream.